Chapter 29. The Last Supper. As Passover approached, Jesus gathered his disciples for a special meal. The atmosphere was different. Though many did not fully understand it, a major turning point had arrived. Jesus spoke words filled with meaning. He thanked God. He shared bread and wine with his followers. He taught them about love, sacrifice, and service. Meanwhile, Mary was in Jerusalem. Though she may not have known every detail of that evening, she sensed that important events were unfolding. The warnings of the past seemed closer than ever. The prophecy spoken by Simeon years earlier was approaching fulfillment. A sword of sorrow was about to pierce her heart. Chapter 30. The Betrayal. After the meal, Jesus went to pray in the Garden of Gethsemane. There he spent hours in deep prayer. He knew what lay ahead. He knew suffering was coming. He knew sacrifice was necessary. Then the unimaginable happened. One of his own disciples, Judas, betrayed him. Soldiers arrived during the night. Jesus was arrested. The disciples scattered in fear. News spread rapidly through Jerusalem. Mary soon learned what had happened. Her heart must have raced with fear and uncertainty. The son she loved had been taken away. Chapter 31. The Trial of Jesus. Jesus was brought before religious leaders and government officials. False accusations were made against him. Witnesses contradicted one another. Yet the pressure against him continued to grow. Crowds that had once praised him now shouted against him. Many who welcomed him days earlier remained silent. Mary watched these events unfold. Every insult directed at Jesus wounded her heart. Every false accusation caused pain. As a mother, she wanted to protect him, yet she could not stop what was happening. She could only trust God. Chapter 32. The Crown of Thorns. The soldiers mocked Jesus. They placed a crown of thorns upon his head. They struck him. They humiliated him. Blood ran down his face. The cruelty was unbearable. Imagine Mary's sorrow as she witnessed her son suffer. This was the child she had held in Bethlehem, the child she had protected in Egypt, the child she had watched grow in Nazareth. Now he stood before the world rejected and wounded. Yet Jesus remained silent. He endured the suffering with extraordinary strength. Chapter 33. The Road to Calvary. Jesus was forced to carry a heavy wooden cross through the streets of Jerusalem. The journey was painful. Each step demanded incredible strength. The crowds gathered along the road. Some mocked him, others wept. Among them was Mary. Every mother hopes to spare her child from suffering. Yet Mary could do nothing except walk beside him and share in his pain. Their eyes may have met. No words were necessary. A mother's love and a son's understanding spoke louder than anything else. It was one of the most heartbreaking moments in history. Chapter 34. At the foot of the cross. Finally, they reached Calvary. There Jesus was nailed to the cross. The sky seemed heavy with sorrow. The crowd watched. Soldiers stood nearby. Many disciples had fled, but Mary remained. She stood at the foot of the cross, faithful, loving, present, even in the darkest moment. As Jesus suffered, he looked down and saw his mother. Despite his own pain, he cared for her. He entrusted her to the care of his beloved disciple John. "Woman, behold your son." Then to John he said, "Behold your mother." Even in suffering, Jesus showed love and compassion. Mary's heart broke as she listened, yet she remained strong. Chapter 35. The Greatest Sacrifice. Hours passed. The suffering continued. Then Jesus spoke his final words. The mission he came to fulfill was complete. The sacrifice for humanity had been made, and then he died. A terrible silence fell over the land. For Mary, the pain was beyond description. The angel Gabriel's promise had brought joy, but now she faced unimaginable grief. The sword Simeon had foretold had pierced her soul. Yet even in sorrow, Mary's faith did not die. She still trusted God. She still believed his promises. Though she could not see the outcome, she remained faithful. Chapter 36. A Mother's Grief. After Jesus' death, his body was taken down from the cross. Mary held him once more, just as she had held him as a baby in Bethlehem. Now she held him in silence. The contrast was heartbreaking. Years earlier, she had celebrated his birth. Now she mourned his death. Tears filled her eyes. Questions filled her heart. The future seemed uncertain. Darkness appeared to have won. But God's story was not finished. Not yet. Chapter 37. The tomb. Jesus was placed in a tomb. A large stone sealed the entrance. Guards were stationed nearby. Hope seemed buried behind the stone. The disciples were afraid. Many hid behind locked doors. Mary also grieved. Yet somewhere deep within her heart remained a spark of faith. She remembered God's promises. She remembered Gabriel's words. She remembered every miracle. She remembered every sign. Though she could not understand everything, she trusted God, and that faith would soon be rewarded. Chapter 38. Waiting in faith. The next day was filled with silence. No miracles, no celebrations, only waiting. For many people, waiting is one of life's hardest challenges. Mary understood this deeply. She had waited for God's promises before. She had trusted Him through uncertainty before. Now she waited again. The story seemed finished, but God was preparing His greatest miracle. A miracle that would transform sorrow into joy. A miracle that would change history forever.